Hey guys, it's your three favorite white dudes. This is the True North Network coming at you for episode 149. We've been doing this for far too long. As always, I am Brandon. I am joined by my good friends Brody, and I was going to call you Eric, but it's Andrew. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Eric and I are a package, so it makes sense to confuse our names.
Different rotation again this week. So how about that? Colton's out again. He's got the mangina flu. Just gonna get aggressively worse with these until he texts me one day and he's like, "Why the fuck are you telling people I have the mangina flu?" But yeah, what did we even talk about last week? Does anyone remember?
Elon.
No, that was the week before. That was the episode that just went up.
Good lord, your Discord is wigging out, dude.
What's wigging out?
Your camera. I don't know if it actually is. Oh, there we go. It's good.
Anyways, no, last week was something else. The week before we did Elon.
Oh,
was it just game releases? We're talking about a bunch of games.
Sure. I don't know what we talked about last week at all, but
we probably did talk about Elon as well. We've talked about Elon every week.
Yeah, I mean, every week he does something stupid, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't even know, like, who works at Twitter anymore. It's probably just him and, like, a few robots that he designed quickly, because no one else can fucking, work the hours that he wants you to work. I mean, I want you to work 25 hours a day with no pay.
Yeah. That sounds like him, honestly.
Yeah, he's...
Actually, it doesn't. He pays the Tesla employees quite well.
Yeah, he just, also sexually assaults the female staff. It's fine.
Yep, that's fine. I was going to say something, but I shouldn't. Even if it is just satire, I don't need to get us canceled.
Yeah, I don't want to fight a lawsuit right now, thanks.
You're ill-prepared so far.
Yeah. Anyways, Elon bad, Twitter's in shambles. Moving on, let's talk conspiracy theories, fellers. This is something I've been floating around for a little while. Just to branch out in topics-wise. Conspiracy theories, they're fun to, think about. There's, I feel like, a lot of coverage on certain ones, but I feel like others kind of fly under the radar. If you guys were to pick a top conspiracy theory, what would you pick? What's your favorite out there?
I think the one that sticks in my head the most is going to be just chemtrails. And that's because that's probably the biggest large conspiracy I ever learned about. And that was from some dude named Gabe in Australia. Told me about it. Who I met from Spin Tires of all video games. Wicked dude, but he was like, chemtrails are going to kill us all, and they give us autism, and blah blah blah. Right? Yeah, everyone knows the whole chemtrails thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if someone doesn't, it's that the government spraying. Like when you see the white streaks coming off of airplanes, that is chemtrails, and it's the government spraying, and it's either giving you autism or it's the government spraying some controlling thing into the air so you do their bidding.
Right.
And I think it's just hilarious. The government does actually put chemicals in the air using airplanes, but it's for none of those reasons. Calgary does it, for example, and they do that for they'll spray above the airport when there's reports of hail, and it's something with silver in it. I can't remember exactly, like silver nitrate or some shit.
Shit.
I remember it has silver in it. That's all I remember because it's expensive as fuck. But it breaks down the ice in the clouds, or prevents it from. I guess it doesn't break down the ice, but it prevents it from collecting and turning into hail. so they don't have massive damage with all the aircraft at the airports.
Very smart. Some chemicals are necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't
And
think they're causing the tism.
No, actually, if you look into the exact chemical they're spraying to, it doesn't cause any damage. It's like entirely safe. So you could drink it. Well, you probably shouldn't drink it, but
let's not say that. You can drink it. That is a fact. Like anyone can drink anything, but you probably shouldn't.
You probably shouldn't.
Highly unencouraged. Brody, what's your favorite wild conspiracy out there?
Definitely Illuminati. We were talking about it yesterday.
Apparently, Andrew Tate and his brother are in the Illuminati.
It's the amount of politicians that do that hand signal I was telling you about. Like, I saw a video. It was like a minute long of just random politicians doing it as well. Fucking Trump was one of them.
Trump's on the Illuminati for sure.
Oh yeah, he probably runs the fucking thing. He's been alive for like 4 centuries.
Yeah. Fucking rich white men.
That are like aliens.
But
I believe aliens are true. Like I hope they are.
Do you believe in like alien experiments done on Earth?
See, I think the whole alien experiments in Area 51 is a hoax to like scare people, as like a tactic to think that like, oh, there's something out there and they're bad.
Yeah.
They're holding the good ones hostage and making them bad.
See, it's like San Andreas. They're hiding them actually in Area 69.
Yeah.
And and Area 51 is the ruse.
You know, it's hard to say if they've actually got anything there or not. I know, they've done airplane testing there. Mm-hmm. In reality, I think it's just, it's a hoax to make people believe the wrong thing. It's misdirection.
Yeah.
It obviously gets a large group of people interested in that specific location, so it might be to get people not as interested in other locations as well, right?
The government could just be doing experiments on aliens in like Midtown New York.
Yeah.
But because that's not a typical secret location, no one's gonna know.
Yeah, I think we actually should have raided Area 51 back then. Just storm the place and just see what's going on. Could just be a bunch of people like drinking in the back, just pretending to work.
As thousands of people rushing with fucking pool floaties and are tripping on fucking acid or running towards this facility.
That whole thing was wild when it was organized.
Yeah, that shows you the fucking power of stupid people and the internet.
Literally.
Yeah. If those stupid people, decided to do something better with their organization, could have actually done something.
Yeah.
What even happened? Because I feel like some people did storm. Didn't storm it, but like they got to a point, and then like
they got arrested.
Oh yeah,
arrested.
People went there and they tried to get past like the gate, and they were all arrested immediately.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, fucking Christ. People go to stupid lengths for stupid rewards.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Beast camped outside of it.
Of course he did. Anything for views, right?
Right outside of the right at the point where there's no return is where he was camping, and they didn't get in shit because there's nothing that they could do. The military could do about it. They're like, okay, so until you cross that line, and I'm sure as soon as one of them crossed the line, they all would have got arrested because they were really teasing them. It was hilarious.
I remember watching that video.
Well, it's like in the new Misfits vlog that I watched. They were at this was for Halloween. They were dressed up as the Scooby Gang, and they were going around solving mysteries. And they literally went to apparently an actual like juvenile penitentiary for young offenders, and they basically had the same situation where they're at a point where they could legally be, but if you step over a line, you're immediately trespassing, and it's a crime. So, of course, they crossed the line and got in shit, but they didn't actually get arrested. But yeah, that's what I mean. People go to stupid lengths for some views. For me, the I don't know. I guess I can only call it a conspiracy because there is no evidence yet. Is the child trafficking ring that people like Chris Cornell were planning on taking down, basically, and they were in talks to do so, and then they ended up committing suicide. I gotta put quotations there.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the man's death was suspicious as fuck. He was with a bodyguard, and he somehow managed to get into a bathroom and hang himself with one of those stretchy exercise bands. And he was a tall man, so even if he could get up there, there's no way it would have really killed him.
Yeah.
At best, he would have maybe
like,
passed out, I guess.
Yeah, broke his neck, maybe.
Maybe, but, like, you have to have some pretty, like, a lot of weight to do that. And then there's, like, people that died suspiciously as well. And we know, like, Hollywood, like, actors and like, look at Ashton Kutcher. Like, they are looking into shit like the child trafficking and pedophilia reigns within Hollywood. So I'm surprised nothing's happened to Ashton Kutcher yet. Because he's very vocal.
What was his name? His last name was McAfee.
John McAfee, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember him. I don't remember what he was going to jail for, if he's looking into the sex trafficking stuff or not, but his death was suspicious because I watched a video of his like several days before where he was like, he got a tattoo that basically said, "I didn't kill myself."
Yeah, if you find me dead, I didn't kill myself. He tweeted that out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that's like, what the fuck? Because I think he was like somehow like involved in or trying to crack the whole Jeffrey Epstein shit, because he had like apparently terabytes of evidence where we'll probably never get to find, but apparently he had like terabytes of fucking data on all these people and a bunch of heinous shit.
Was he the like creator of McAfee?
Yeah.
Security stuff. Yeah. And that's exactly why he has all that data too, is because that people don't realize how much those security companies are collecting your data, and that is why it bogs your computer down to shit, and you can't do anything when you have McAfee installed. Fuck McAfee. Anyway,
fuck you, John McAfee.
Yeah.
No, not fuck John McAfee.
Oh,
he seems like he was decent.
But he did design it. Well, I don't know if he designed it, but his name's on it. So.
Yeah,
his name's on it.
Yeah. So fuck you, dead person.
That's a crime.
Yeah. Probably can't recover his body. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, those are some decently big ones. The Illuminati, just a little tiny conspiracy
This
theory.
is a small one, yeah.
But even like the McAfee stuff and child trafficking rings, chemtrails, those are all pretty common ones. But I like talking about like, stuff that isn't too saturated. I mean, we could definitely do episodes on the other ones, like the more popular ones.
9/11.
It was an inside job, allegedly.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly. Bush did 9/11, allegedly.
Bush did 7/11.
Bush made 7/11?
Yes.
Goddamn. Thanks for the taquitos, Mr. Bush. So today, I thought we'd talk about a little mission that the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms and munitions group of individuals from the States, a mission that they did. I found this on a podcast. It was John Bernthal, who's known for playing the Punisher and Shane in The Walking Dead. Apparently The Walking Dead ended this weekend, so it is officially over.
14 seasons and it's done.
Thank fuck.
Yeah. But yeah,
I was good after 4 seasons.
Same.
After the farm, everyone was done. But yeah, he played Shane on that show. He has a podcast now where he just travels around basically and talking to people who have actual stories to tell and like have lived experiences. He had Shia LaBeouf on one of the episodes, and that
was emotional.
It was 2 hours of just how sorry Shia LaBeouf was and how he's changed and everything is really deep, really emotional, really connected to some people for different reasons. And then the one I'm watching now that I'm in the middle of is this former LA gangbanger who swears more than I do, which is amazing. He swears like 8 out of 10 words, I swear. It's just like, we were in the fucking part of the LA that, we couldn't go to, and there's fucking fuckers everywhere fucking each other, and I'm like, bro! I was watching that at work, and mine and Andrew's coworker was there, and I'm like, this guy swears a little bit, huh? Because I kept getting glances. And then, he also had a guy on from... he was a former ATF agent. I believe his name is Jay Dobbins. And he worked a lot with the Hells Angels. I know we talked about the Hells Angels a little bit before. I don't know if you were here for that, Brody, but I know Colton and Andrew were. We were talking about like gun-related deaths is the majority of what we see here in Canada, and how the Hells Angels could contribute to that. So I was watching this episode, and there's a bunch of like failed missions that all these government agencies have either covered up or downplayed. But I feel like this one, I hadn't really heard about it up until this podcast, and it's called Operation Fast and Furious. It ran between 2006 and 2011. The reason they called it that was actually the reference to the movies, because apparently the people that they were selling these firearms to were they worked in an auto body shop, so it made sense to call it that. But basically, the premise of it is the ATF sold these weapons to these dealers because they were trying to track these guns back to like top level cartel members so that they could lay arrests in other cases that they were working on. It's kind of crazy. They actually didn't end up arresting any high level cartel members. One could say it was a complete failure. Approximately
or was it a cover-up?
It could be. Approximately 2,000 guns were sold, but as of February of 2012, only 710 have been recovered. Obviously, it's been a big chunk of time since then, so some might have been found, but unlikely they have all been found. So right out the gate, do you guys think this sounds fishy, or...
Immediately, that sounds like a terrible idea. That sounds like Andrew said, it's a cover-up. There's something else at play.
So here's the thing: the RCMP in Canada have been caught. Try and Google it. You can't find anything on it because the news has posted so much stuff that hides it. Like any of those key searches is something else. I don't think that's done specifically to hide it. I think that's just the titles are close. But the Canadian RCMP have been caught selling guns, illegal firearms to gangs. There probably is maybe that little background reason, but also, when they got caught, their like higher ups in the RCMP were like, we didn't know this was happening, so they were doing it to make money under the table because they have access to these firearms that they've taken from other people, and they're just pocketing money because it's really good fucking money. And who's going to catch them? They are the police. So
I feel like a lot of shitty like underhanded deals get swept under the rug way too easily, because I have some statistics here, or at least some cases that guns have been found all over the States and Mexico from this deal, and so far they have found 150 Mexican people who were killed or injured with these guns, and there's countless crimes that have been committed, including a Border Patrol agent, Brian Terry. He was killed on December 10th of 2019, I think, or no, 2014. And yeah, it was traced back to the same guns. So like all of this has been basically swept under the rug until it becomes public knowledge, and it's like I feel like people would have a lot more respect for the law and these agencies if they told the public straight out the gate, this was a risk, we thought it was worth it, we fucked up, but then instead they sweep it under the rug, and it seems like not much was changed since then, because I'm sure there have been some corrupt deals between 2006 and now with the ATF or with any agency.
Yeah, I have a really good feeling that it was an oopsie that it was found out to begin. I mean, it was definitely an oopsie that it was found out to begin with.
Yeah.
Whether it was legit or not, they didn't want anybody to know about it. But the fact that it's also been such a spectacular failure, it's like...
And I mean, I get the like idea, because they're just trying to like stem the flow of guns that were coming into Mexico through the states, but I thought that was, I mean, obviously I don't have a background in law enforcement and such, but like I thought arresting the the buyers was the best way to go, because the buyers can lead to the dealers. But like if you,
that's why we have torture.
Having the firearms pass through so many hands in order to get back to the cartel, that seems like a huge risk, because from the point that you lose track of the gun, well, I'm sure they track them, but from the point that the firearms left your possession, you have no control over at all. So many scenarios could have happened, all in order to catch maybe a few of the bad guys.
Yeah. If that's what they were trying to do, you're right. They went around it the wrong way. Like, it just, that was not the right way to be doing that. And you start at the bottom. It's a slow process, but you can move to the top that way. Them trying to just like jump to the top by chasing these guns, like those guns aren't going to go to the top in the first place. No. Also, 2,000 guns is a lot of guns. I don't think the black market or the cartel are really buying 2,000 guns all at once. And if they are, they're really watching the place that they're buying it from. They know, or probably knew, that they were coming from the ATF. So it was a fail right from the beginning, I think.
And like, say they put trackers in the guns somehow. I imagine that as soon as they left that deal, they stripped those guns down to literally nothing and checked every square inch. We'll never find some of those guns again, I imagine.
Oh, they won't find most of them again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason the statistics that I found only went up to like 2012.
Yep.
And who's to say that, like, there are going to be a handful of guns that aren't even going to show up, because some people are just not going to leave them at the scene, or they're not going to be caught with them, right? So there's definitely a handful of the guns that are gone forever. Do you guys think that the public should have been more aware? Do you think like the government should have released a statement about this?
So when did it start? When did they sell the guns?
2006 is when it started.
Okay, so it started in 2006, and we found out when?
At the time of the agent's death, which I believe was in 2014.
So 8 years later, I would have been okay giving them up to 10 years to try and complete that task the way that they did it. Anything after that, there should have been a public announcement like, hey, or as soon as we found out, because then it's blown anyways, they should have given all the details. Being like, yes, so here's what happened.
Apparently in 2011 is when the investigation started.
Yeah, I think that's when the investigation started, but I think people didn't find out about the actual like operation until later. Yeah. Okay, so my dates were a few years off. Agent Terry was killed in 2010.
Okay.
So that would have been about 4 years. and then the investigation started a year after he died.
Apparently, Barack Obama
Oh, yeah.
spoke about it in 2011.
Yeah, because he actually invoked executive privilege because the U.S. Justice Department was trying to complete their investigation, and there were files. There was a bunch of documents, like classified files, obviously, because it was a secret operation. A bunch of them were vetoed, basically, by Barack. He was like, nah, those documents are staying sealed. And then in 2016, the federal court ruled that the documents were not covered by privilege, meaning that anything that Obama had invoked executive privilege on would not apply here. And then there was a lawsuit to try and recover the records, but it was settled, and of course it was probably a closed settlement, meaning we don't know what it was and we never will. The only people that know how much they settled for are the people that made the deal. And it was dropped as of April 2019, which was 3 years ago. So as of 3 years ago, it's basically just been shoved under the rug.
Yep, this is another one under the rug.
So I think whatever really happened with the ATF and everything, the only people that'll ever know are the people that were involved.
Yeah. I think so.
Do you guys think that Obama made the right call? I mean, obviously, none of us are political leaders or have been in the past. I mean, you run a church, Brody, obviously, but I don't think that's the same thing as being president of the free nation.
Not quite.
Free nation.
Yeah.
But do you guys believe Barack made the right call trying to keep those documents classified, or do you think that the people of the states deserve to know the truth? And Mexico, I guess.
So did any of this happen? When was Brock in power? Like, he
2000,
was in power.
2008, I believe. He was his first.
Okay, yeah. So he's totally just covering his ass.
Oh yeah.
By
I mean,
covering
it happened. It happened under his watch, I guess. But then again,
he didn't initiate it.
Yeah.
The ATF is also just gonna do whatever the fuck they feel like.
Yeah.
So, but because it is the ATF doing it, I feel like he should have spilled the beans on it anyways. The ATF does so much corrupt bullshit all the time. They're probably the US's most corrupt agency.
yeah,
So,
I hear they make a lot of side deals and shit just to get the job done, and I've heard of them going to some extreme lengths in order to get it done.
oh yeah, like they hands down are I'm not gonna say hands down they're the worst, but they are one of the worst agencies in the states, just based on pure behavior and stupidity.
I mean, even with that Jay Dobbins guy that I mentioned earlier, like he was an ATF agent, and he was tasked with bringing down the Hells Angels, one of the most notorious gangs up and down the West Coast there, and when he was done, because he was an undercover agent, when he was done testifying and basically giving up these guys he had basically been living with for the most of his life, he got death threats. He got letters and phone calls saying that they were going to rape his wife and his child and burn his house down with them inside it. And basically there's nothing that that he could do to stop it, and he went to the ATF for help, and they just said there's nothing we can do.
Yep.
This is too big now. Like, no matter where you're gonna go, you can't be Jay anymore because people are gonna talk and they're gonna get to you.
The thing I don't understand about, like, oh, there's nothing we can do because people are always gonna know who you are, is like, in Medicine Hat, that 12-year-old girl who convinced some dude in his he was 18 or 20 to murder her parents.
Yep.
She got a brand new name, everything. Like, she's
She lives in
completely white.
She lives in Calgary.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, completely new persona, new everything, doesn't
Yeah.
have a criminal record. They're entirely able and capable. I mean, this is in Canada of all places, and they're doing this for an insane 12-year-old who convinced someone to murder her parents and has no
Yeah.
regrets. Well, maybe she regrets it. I don't know, but she obviously had mental issues that should have
Well,
been dealt
she
with.
wouldn't have
But
been released if she wasn't reformed or at least medicated.
yeah. Well, she was also underage, so they'd have to when it
Mm-hmm.
happened. So she was charged as a child by just a few months too.
Yeah.
Um, and that so they would have released her anyways, even if she wasn't reformed because of
Yeah.
the whole child thing, probably. But yeah. Anyways, if they can do that for a criminal, they could totally do that for government agents. But the
Yeah.
ATF just has no. It's the least amount of work possible for them.
Yeah, and this guy, when he was on the podcast, he kind of expressed contempt for the ATF. I mean, that's basically like being part of an organization your entire life, and then when you need them the most, they just turn their backs on you. But then he also said, like, living a lie for so long really ate him up because at the end of it, he really cared for some of these guys that did horrible shit. But at the end of the day, they were bad people. And he realizes that there's got to be some sort of justice for people who can lie to their friends, and then at the end of the day betray them and give them up, basically. So
Yeah.
he kind of sees it as karmic justice in a way. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but that's his experience with it, anyways. I mean, would you guys see that as karmic justice? Do you think
Ye-
like
ye-
the ability to be a shitty person, because let's be honest, he was a shitty person when he was in that persona of I need to get as much information out of these guys as possible so I have as much as I can have to flip on them, but at the end of the day I am a shitty person and whatever happens to me happens to me. I mean, he could have been gunned down by them, he could have been, his family could have been killed in front of him. Do you see that as karmic justice, or do you think that him putting these people away, um, at the end of the day was the best scenario, and that he is a good person?
I'm not gonna say that he's a good person. I think anybody who's gonna hold a persona to, sneak in and ultimately betray all of these people, like that makes you a shitty person to
Yeah.
be the betrayer.
Got one simple
Uh,
phrase for you: snitches get stitches.
Yeah, that's basically what they told
but
him.
um, that being said, like the motive wasn't bad, but the
Yeah.
actions were. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that he was a shitty person because it's
Mm-hmm.
shitty people like that who do end up keeping us safe at the end of the day and in
Yeah.
some situations still fuck the ATF, but um you know um those shitty people do need to exist and they do have a purpose, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As long as shittier people exist in them, they're gonna be needed. But
Sometimes there is a necessary evil.
actions do have, there's karma.
Mm-hmm.
So your actions are gonna come back and bite you in the ass.
Don't be a shitty person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like from the outside perspective is the easiest to judge. Because we're personally detached from the story. Obviously, this didn't happen to us. I feel like if I was one of the HAs that he busted, I would have felt really betrayed, and like this is someone that I, trusted with my life, and I had his back, he had mine situation, and now this person's basically turning. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of hurt those guys would have felt as, you know, their buddy basically watches them all be arrested because they shared some details of their life with him.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I don't know if I could do that to my friends. I mean, obviously, this would be a different scenario. I wouldn't know the people, and I'd have to earn their trust. But I don't know if I'm capable of entering myself into someone's life just for the sole purpose of destroying them. That's a lot of vindictiveness and a lot of pettiness, and I guess because it was disguised under the facade of duty, that it was seen okay, and maybe it did benefit, some people, but also the HAs never went away. They're still around.
Yeah. And we're never gonna get rid of them because they're too big. And to be honest, the amount of damage they're actually causing isn't as bad as it could be. And the people themselves generally are actually pretty good people. Like their biggest rule is respect, right? Like as a group, what they care about is respect.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned it last time. That's their entire culture is respect and loyalty. Those are your two founding principles. I feel like of any gang, I feel like not just HAs, I feel like anything, you have to have mutual respect for every person in the group. You can have internal conflict, you can have, competition, but at the end of the day, you guys respect each other, and there's got to be loyalty there.
Yeah, and they're probably one of the largest gangs that has that actual level of respect and follows it, but not they do definitely have their little disagreements in there and lose respect for each other sometimes, but even then, just operating in the day-to-day life, they 100% fully just believe in respect as a principle and living. And I've seen them in Tim Hortons, and they're some of the nicest people. You don't want to fuck with them, and if you disrespect them, they will have something against you. But as long as you hold a level of respect with them, they're never gonna do anything. There's nothing to worry about.
Do you guys
don't knock over their bikes?
Don't knock over their bikes. Don't flip them off. Don't go over there and ask to join. Might not end well for you. What do you guys think about like hiding? Not hiding, but what do you think about like duty as an excuse to be like an undercover agent to catch bad people? Do you think it's worth it in the long run?
That's a very...
I feel like it'd come down to the success of like how you do. Like you go undercover for 2 years and bust absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like then it's just a waste of time and resources, and I feel like it's kind of hard. Like if you do good, it's worth it, but like there's always that risk of you could fuck up, you could get caught, and then it caused even more backfire than it was worth.
Yeah.
Like morally, I don't know. That's like that. It's a really big question because like we need those. Quite honestly, we need those people as a level of security. There needs to be people like that, but it also just doesn't seem right, you know? Like I don't know. There's a part about it that I really don't like.
Yeah. I feel like if you're able to detach yourself as the person who's undercover, I feel like if you're able to detach your emotions away from it, it'd be quite simple to do if you're able to do that. Not everyone's able to do that. Some people are just too emotional or, too morally just to ever let that happen. But yeah, I don't know. I have respect for the guy. He's definitely well spoken. He is respectful. He respects that those people that he got arrested, the people whose lives are basically over, they have good qualities, and no matter who they are, whatever criminal any agency busts, at the end of the day, there's qualities to everyone to enjoy. There's good and bad qualities. So these people who went to jail maybe weren't like. Maybe they haven't killed somebody, Maybe they haven't, burned someone's house down. Maybe they're just there as, what's the...
Be part of the group.
Yeah, just a... for a lot of people, I feel like it's a family. And that's with a lot of gangs, is like, the family of the gang members are family, right? So I feel like the ability to be of something bigger than yourself is what really appeals to people with gangs. and this idea that you don't have to go it alone. You'll have these people to watch your back. So like I see why people flock to gangs in some instances, and that's why I don't think any organized, crime that that also doubles as a family, I don't think those are ever gonna never exist.
Yeah.
It's too big of a part of their lives.
Yeah, and also to be fair, at like one of the points you're making earlier on was the I hold nothing against the guy himself who did it. To be entirely honest, the organization, like obviously he had to have that ability to be able to detach,
Yeah.
to get put in that position, but the agency itself is going to be a huge reason why he behaved the way he did, and whatever made him believe he was doing good.
Yeah.
And that he wasn't being a terrible person. So like I would put nothing on the guy himself by any means.
At the end of the day, he did a job.
Yeah, he's just doing his job.
I guess the same goes for like military too. Like, can't look as everyone from the military as a cold-blooded killer, because it's not. It's duty, and it's what they signed up for, and it's what we respect about them, and it's what we value about them, that they were able to make the hard choice to do something like that.
Yeah, and none of them are happy about killing. None of them.
Some of
may
them
be
might,
like when you see them like actively, if you see any body cam footage or whatever, they're all hyped up. They're ready to go. They're excited to kill people in the moment because they have to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So they have to make that mental flip. But when they get back, it haunts them that they've killed people, whether they say it publicly or not.
Yeah. I don't know how you go through something like that and not be affected by it unless you're a sociopath. But I don't know.
I'm sure the military has its sociopaths.
Oh, yeah. There's some people that go there just because they know they're not good for anything else other than killing, and at least this way they can,
They're doing something that supposedly is good.
Yeah. Not that I agree with war or anything, but...
Yeah. They're being told it's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like both with Project Fast and Furious and everything that Dobbins... the podcast will be in the corner there because I keep fucking up his name, I'm sure. But just with both of those scenarios, I feel like we do need organizations like the ATF, but I feel like there should be more responsibility on these organizations to be more transparent. Obviously, they can't be completely transparent just with the line of work that they're in.
They can't say anything until it's over, but when it's over, they should have to give all of the details except for names and times and things that can give people away and get them in trouble.
Yeah.
Or not get them in trouble, but make them wanted, right?
Yeah, anything like identifying of any agents or anything, like, definitely keep that sealed, but I feel like a lot of this should be public record. And I feel like a lot of people have this same sort of outcry when shit like this goes down and it is swept under the rug and then it comes out later. I feel like if you would have just been transparent from the start, well, not from the start, but from when it ended to before shit went down, I feel like the common people would sympathize and understand.
Yeah, you have a lot less conspiracies and people mistrusting or distrusting the government if they were just open and honest and the facts were evidence was there.
Well, yeah, and that's the root of conspiracy. It's the not knowing, right? It's the disbelief. It's the holes in the story. It's, a million other things. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a truth there that can be trusted, basically.
Yeah, like we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
And anyone who believes that is stupid, and also the Earth is flat.
No. It's not flat, okay? It's donut-shaped.
Yes, okay. It's donut-shaped.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, right? We're seeing everything inverted, right? Mm-hmm. Like from how it actually, or flipped from how it actually is, right? So Yeah, it's a donut because you just invert the shape that we think it is.
Exactly. It's not the donut hole, it's the donut. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's how we're gonna end the podcast, is with Donut Hole Earth. But yeah, what do you guys think about like that whole story? Do you think it's? I'm talking about the Fast and Furious, obviously. What do you think about that story as a whole? Do you believe it at face value? Obviously, you've talked a little bit about it, or do you think there's something greater going on? And if you do, what do you think's going on? Let me get in your heads a bit.
So I looked further into the story. So there was a second operation that was a joint from Operation Fast and Furious called Fury Road that they did the exact same thing with nearly 100% success rate. So I think back then they didn't have the means to do it properly, maybe, or went about it the improper way or something, because they did it afterwards and were very successful about it.
Well,
they busted like a massive like heroin and cocaine operation as well.
Yeah, I guess I did miss one crucial factor I probably should have talked about. It completely slipped my mind. I forgot to write it down. So the reason that these guns disappeared was actually on the fault of the prosecutor, because they basically didn't have enough evidence to have an arrest warrant put out, and they couldn't apprehend the buyers, and that's why everything fell through. Obviously, I forgot to mention that. Whoops. Like I said, we're semi-professional.
They pulled the trigger too quickly and tried to arrest these people.
And they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough evidence to lay the arrests.
Yep. That tells me that the plan. I don't know. That seems weird to me. If they caught someone with a gun and they're arresting them because of it, that person came across that gun by illegal means. It's an illegal gun.
Yeah.
Is that not enough evidence? Otherwise, are they just arresting random people and be like, "Did you buy a gun?" Like, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put that past the ATF. They're doing that daily in the States now. So, but you know,
I mean, I feel like there just wasn't enough probable cause to continue the investigation. I think at the end of the day, that's probably what happened, because they might have like arrested and interrogated some of these people who bought the guns, but that not necessarily a link to any criminal syndicate. So that's probably what happened. The guy who bought the guns probably did get arrested, but like people who are in organized crime syndicates like this, if you talk, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it got dropped there. They couldn't do much about it.
Yeah.
Because there have been some arrests related to the guns, and I'm sure it was probably more so to do with the people who bought them.
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you guys think about the operation as a whole? Do you think there's anything else there? I mean, it's hard to say, I guess. There's not much on this one.
I feel like, the conspiracy of it being like a hoax or a cover-up, and it was just some corrupt agent selling it, or a corrupt division selling it, is with the information that I have, it is plausible.
Yeah.
It is also just as likely that the ATF is just dumb and they really fucked up.
Yeah, and I
mean,
guess
that's the answer in both situations, though. But
yeah.
Incompetence. But I guess you really don't want the common people to be like, oh, well, if the ATF can't even stop something like this, then why the hell are we even listening to them? And then shit goes down. Brody said there have been successful missions that have been done in this kind of fashion, but maybe they learned from the past and have since improved. I feel like it could have gone either way with this one. They could have went flawlessly, and they could have had like a bunch of arrests and taken down a whole empire, but they didn't.
Yep.
So give them a participation trophy and move on. I guess, because the case got closed in 2019, so nothing is ever going to be done.
Now, if we lived in the States, I'm pretty sure the States also has the Freedom of Information Act. I know Canada does, or something similar anyways.
Yeah.
So in Canada, if we had any information on it, we could just email our government and be like, yo, I want the information on this exact thing. And they would have to give it to you. It may have a pile of retractions in it, but you can at least get the information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually how a YouTuber in BC got some information on the amount of actual hospitalized people and the capacity of the hospital and blah 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 during like the peak of COVID. He was a really big anti-vaxxer and blah blah blah, right? It's not actually as big as it is, but he emailed the I don't know what BC's health services is called. It may just be BCHS or whatever, but he emailed them and was like, due to the Freedom of Information Act and you being a public service, I want the information on all of this. And they gave it to him. He's like, yeah, okay, so you're saying that your hospital is full, but you're at a quarter capacity. Right? But again, the different departments have different capacities, so that's where that is. Which department is it?
Yeah.
And who knows if they actually release all the information too, right? They could just say that. Yeah. That's again, governments and organizations being shady. You can't always trust that you have the full story.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people, myself included, kind of would welcome a more transparent government who actually tells the public what's going on rather than hide it.
Yeah.
But then they wouldn't do shady shit. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, we should wrap this up. We're recording for about 50 minutes, so it's a good talk, boys. Enjoyed it. Hopefully come up with other ones. I told the boys to, come up with stuff they want to talk about, whether it's conspiracies, serial killer shit, just interesting stuff that we might be able to give our opinions on. We might cover some wild conspiracies like the Epstein shit, or maybe some smaller cases of just interesting stories, because I feel like our history is chock full of stuff that we can, talk about, and maybe stuff that hasn't been overly saturated in the media. So, no Ted Bundy. No Ted Bundy talks. Fuck that guy.
What about Bud Tendy?
Is that his cousin?
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about Bud. But yeah, I feel like there's certain stories that just get overtold and get boring to hear about, but there are some lesser known stories that are also just as interesting and don't get enough attention. But hopefully next week we'll be joined by Colton if he's feeling better. And I know I want to get Travis and Kyle back on for guests at some point in the near future. I think Kyle's busy playing, Victorian or something. So maybe I'll get him away from his computer long enough to film a podcast with us. And I know our buddy Eric is always on the sidelines, ready to join for some episodes as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy seeing the fresh faces. But
I gotta reach out to Evan.
Yes.
See if he wants to come back on again.
Yeah, we gotta. Actually, I have a good one for that, but I'll save it for after the podcast. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Click all the links down below. There's a merch design on Redbubble. I don't think I've reset up the Patreon yet. I think we'll probably hold off on that until we actually grow a little bit. But the Redbubble merch is out there. Obviously, we're on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, Anchor. If you're watching on YouTube right now, before you click away, click the like button, leave a comment, click the subscribe button, and hit that bell. Hit the bell. Fuck, do you remember a time when YouTube didn't have that? Jeez.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go support us on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube again. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Yep.